Hi guys, welcome to the weekly recap. I think this is weekly recap number 22 or 23. I'm not quite sure. For those of you who are looking for the previous ones, there would be in the Trend Trading Academy TTA announcements. And if you don't find them there, well, I don't have them all on my website on the YouTube website, but I can make some available to you, at least the last five or something like that. But these are weekly. So if you want to find what's the latest that's happening in the market now, just simply watch the one before and this one. Okay. And I will give you what happened during the week and then the projections that are coming in the following week. Okay. Let's go straight into it so we can make this short. Let me go ahead and share the screen. I'm going to share this screen. All right, so this is the first one of the week. This is on the 21st, and we have price trapped between these numbers. And basically, this is how we do it, guys. Every day of the week, we're looking for price to start some level of consolidation, which is a transition, in this case, from an upswing, right? It was coming from the downside, it is going up. Now it is transitioning into a consolidation. And then we're going to try to catch the break of the consolidation. Some of you may be wondering, why do I have the lines right above when the price is down here? Very possibly, and I don't remember, but very possibly because it has climbed the pivot. It's above the 50 moving average. And after watching it all evening and seeing that it wasn't coming below, I went ahead and marked it right there. In the end, this is what we ended up with. Let me go ahead and open this up so you guys can see it better. Basically, we have what you see that it was going up and then it transitioned. All right. And now we have a breakdown, break below the zone, break below the trend line, and it retested at the golden zone. There was no retest at the zone. It retested at the golden zone and kept dropping. Very possibly, we did not get a retest because I made the zone so tight. And when I make the zones tight like that, you might want to take the breakout. But here's the deal. I'm doing it tight because I want you guys to be able to take advantage of the impulse move and get your pips real quick. But perhaps if I had done it a little more conservative, it came up, retested, and then took off. Either way, 163 pips with a break with no retest. That's the results from the 21st. Let's go into the 22nd right away. This is what we got on the 22nd. Again, another very tight setup. I think this was in class. I think we did this in class. Very tight setup after the drop, right, from the night before. It consolidated. It gave us a lot of flags, by the way. There was a flag right here that it broke from. There was another flag there that it broke from. Now we have another flag. If I'm not wrong, I believe it broke down to the downside. Let's see what happened. Okay, either way, we're ready. All right, so sure enough, let's see. It broke to the downside. It first broke to the downside for 97 pips with a retest right there, zero drawdown. And then it jumped really fast, really up. Someone was mentioning that they lost on this trade. And it's very difficult to understand how they would have lost on this trade when it was a straight drop. I mean, this is the 30-minute. On the 1 hour, it's even more clearly seen that this was just a straight drop down. Obviously, they entered late. They're trying to catch the momentum as it's going down. And then it took off to the upside. Do not be deceived in thinking that just because price makes a move in one direction or the other, it's going to continue that way. Grab your pips and get out, okay? So in this case, it dropped 97 pips and then it went straight up only to retest the top zone and drop again for 30 pips with another retest right there, zero drawdown. And then finally it broke to the top side, 45 pips with no retest. I did not count this one over here, even though this was also a very nice break to the bottom, retest, and drop. If you'd had a hard time catching this one, this was a much cleaner one with a retest included that happened at the beginning of the New York session. So again, for those of you who are wondering about New York session trades, our setups work for the London and the New York session almost 90+% of the time. Okay, all right, let's go to the 23rd. This was the setup of the 23rd. Another nice drop, right, as we have it. Another nice drop, another flag pattern broken down to a nice consolidation. This is nice. This looks really pretty. I like it like this when it's just nice consolidation, not very sharp wicks. We're good to catch this whichever way it goes. This was on the 23rd. And these are the results of the 23rd. Let's see, it broke the flag pattern again. It broke the flag pattern again. And did I count this? I did not even count these from the trend line. I should have counted that from the trend line break. But let's just count them from the zone. Break, retest, drop, 45 pips. It comes back up. This is what I want to point out here. It comes back up. It retests the bottom zone. It's going up, guys, right? So retest here, retest here. There's several touches here, and then it starts moving. That's 57 pips to the upside. I did not count those 57 pips, but still, I want to point them out to you how that was an opportunity for entry going back up. It waited for the 50 to get lower, 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 and then it broke above it again, but it was an opportunity there. And then it broke to the top side. It retested and gave 34 pips with 0 to 2 pip drawdown. This will be your drawdown right here if you had any drawdown whatsoever. But again, remember that we always wait for that wick, and here it came. The wick was nice and beautiful, and once you got the wick, it just kept going up. All right, so 34 pips also there with break with 0 to 2 pip drawdown. That was on the 23rd. Let's go to 24th. Let's see, this is the 24th. All right, 24th is looking a little more jagged than the night before. But again, once it created some level of consolidation here where I saw that this is the hour, right? So this is the hour. So once it broke down below 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 hours worth of candles that have not broken above that trend line, below this right here, or above that zone right there, right? So we have it nicely caught, I believe, and these are the results. This is what we ended up with. Opening it up so you can see it better. It broke that flag pattern. Again, it broke the flag pattern, and I didn't even count those pips from the flag pattern. Again, I should have, but because that's the whole point of putting the flag pattern there and putting the trend line, right? The break of it, counting those pips down. But let's just be conservative and play it from down here. It broke, retested, dropped again for 22 pips. This is the smallest trade that we got the whole week. It was an amazing week, really. And then it broke to the top side. It broke above, okay, retested and took off again for 48 pips. Depending on when you entered here, you might have had 0 to 8 pip drawdown. But again, remember, we wait for that wick. So that wick was beautiful. And then the next one that it came down did not go below below the zone, which is nice, and went up for 48 pips. That was another beautiful win. That was the 24th. And then the last trade of the week, GBP USD, by the way, these have all been GBP USDs. Again, a little messy here. Perhaps it looks a little messy for you guys. I know you guys will, for the new trader, is probably thinking, again, that lower zone should be somewhere down here. But again, this is what I'm noticing. This is the beginning of the new day, right? This vertical line is the beginning of a new day. And since the beginning of the new day, the high and the lows are right in here. The high and the lows of the days are in here. This could have been perhaps even tighter, but I did not make it tighter. I thought this was good enough. We do take notice that the golden zone is right above. That golden zone has been there for a while now, a couple of days, but it has not been violated. It has not been broken, so it's still active and something that needs to be paid attention to. But again, what we do in a situation like this, and any situation, guys, is we perhaps wait for the close of the candle to the outside if it's going up, and then the retest, okay? A break and retest will give us a little more confidence in taking this, and I believe that's what happened. Let's see. These are the results after. Boom, there it is. Let's see, it broke. Yeah, it broke to the top side, retested, and took off. 41 pips, break, 0 drawdown. It was nice. And of course, then this is the 61.8. We are expecting some level of rejection is going to happen here at the golden zone. We don't know how far down it's going to go from here, but it did break to the downside. And once it entered back into the zone, we're looking for sales. Okay, guys? So this candle right here, this hour candle just kept dropping, okay? It broke through the 50. It came and retested the bottom of the zone. And by the way, this is how you can tell that your zones are correctly drawn when you have reactions like this. When candles stop on a dime right on your line, you know you have this exactly right, okay? It broke down below. It kept going down below. It came back up, retested the trend line, retested the 50, gave us the beautiful evening star right there, and dropped again for 58 pips from the trend line, from this trend line break right here. I did not count all of this. I counted only the 48 over here because it's just from the zone, right? 48 pips from the zone, 0 to 10 pip drawdown, depending on when you entered here. Depending if you happen to enter in any one of these, then perhaps you got some drawdown. Obviously, we're waiting for this wick. Once we see that wick, now we're in game, okay? So 48 pips to the downside, 41 pips to the down to the upside, 0 drawdown. Okay, and here are the numbers. The total numbers, let me go ahead and stop the share. The total numbers are 573 pips total, guys. 573 pips total. Okay, for 10 trades, that means there was 5 setups, but there were 10 trades in those setups. That will be normal trades that we could take, by the way. And that means it was 57 pips per trade. Okay, and 0 to 20 pip drawdown total. So in those 10 trades, we only had 20 pips, depending on when you entered it, 20 pips at the worst drawdown and positive 573 pips. It doesn't get much better than that, guys. It really doesn't. As far as risk reward is concerned, people have talked to us before, asked about the risk reward. Well, what is the risk reward when consistently you're getting these kind of numbers? I mean, I'm talking consistently. I don't know any week where it has been the inverse. In fact, I know for a fact it has never been the inverse. Our numbers have never been the inverse. And I don't remember the last time that we had a retest that failed. Okay, we've had situations where it didn't retest, it broke and just kept going. We have situations perhaps where it dropped and then came back up and kept going back up and it didn't retest. But we have not had a situation for quite a while now that we've had a retest that failed, a retest that did not give us at least 15 to 20 pips. All right, this has happened consistently, which should give you the confidence to take this. And by the way, I want to point out that all of these trades were on one pair. One pair. The power of mastering one pair cannot be overstated, guys. I don't care what pair you're using. You know, I mean, I'm using GBP USD because zero, what is it? 0 spreads on my broker. And yeah, the value per pip is the best. There isn't a better one. GA is close, okay? And GJ is close, but there isn't one that is as good as GBP USD. So we get more bang for our dollar, all right? So learning one pair can make you rich, guys. We're learning one pair, just playing that one pair over and over and over and over. I found it in GU and I've been using it. And because the numbers are so good, I'm not going to change it. You know, if the numbers ever change and you guys weren't making any money with it, then I would change it. But right now, there's no reason why you're not making any money. If you want to expand your library of pairs that you're going to trade, that's fine. But I don't really recommend that you go past 2. You could have more than that, but I don't recommend that you go past 2. On any given day, if GBP USD is not paying us well, GBP JPY is paying us well. You know, they correlate, but when one is a little choppy, the other one tends to move pretty good and pay pretty well. GA also pays very well. Those are the 3 that I would concentrate if you were looking to increase your pips. And if you're a brand new trader, then GBP CAD moves a little slower so that it gives you time, a better time to see what is happening, all right? But again, I just want to point out the fact that with one pair, you got 573 pips with only 20 pip drawdown. I think those numbers are fantastic. 57 pips per trade. So let's go into the projections of the following week. All right, let's start with GBP USD since we've been on that horse for a little bit. This is what we're looking at, guys, for the weekly on GBP USD. We have noticed this in the past, right? The drop from forever, I think it's 2014. Drop, respected that trend line. It broke above the trend line and now is broken down below it and closed below it, by the way. It closed below that trend line. It closed also below this trend line moving up. So it is looking bearish at the moment. I mean, the 50 moving average is right there. So it's possible that it could bounce from there. This is the weekly. We shall see, but it is at a critical point for the termination. We do take notice of a couple zones here. We do take notice of this zone right there And by that, I'm talking about starting from way back here. There is perhaps something else a little lower, something that goes like so. So price will bounce somewhere in here. But if it breaks through here, it'll most likely keep going to the downside. And it does look bearish to me. Okay, this is the 200 moving average. The blue is the 200 and it's below it. In fact, 2 weeks ago, it broke below it. Last week, it retested it, and now it dropped again. Okay, it dropped again. So that is looking bearish, guys, for GBP USD. USD gaining some strength, and the GBP remaining weak. Okay, that's GBP USD. Let's see the Canadian GBP CAD. We've been noticing this for quite a while, right? This consolidation has been happening for a while. And now it broke, let's see, 2 weeks ago, same situation. 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, right? It broke the 50, broke the trend line, broke the 200. Then last week it went back up, retested the 50, retested the trend line, and now it is hovering right between the 50 and the 200 below the trend line. Now this wick from the bottom seems to indicate that it is bullish to go back up, but it is in the middle. It is in the middle of this whole action, all right? So it could just simply bounce from there and come back down before it goes back up, or it could go back up above the trend line. If it goes back above the trend line and the 50, then we're looking at some good pips going to the upside, about 180 pips before this zone over here. If it crashes through that, it will go to the next one for almost 400 pips. Okay, if it breaks to the downside, we're looking at some level of support right here, but that's still 320 pips. And if it breaks that, then we're looking at 480 pips to the downside. So 400 and some pips from where it's at right now, depending on which direction it goes. All right, let's go to GBP NCD. I missed this one again, guys. I've been watching this for a long time, right? I keep talking about this every week. And last week, was it last week or the week before? Let's see, yeah, this is the daily. This is the daily. So last week, let's go look at the weekly. All right. Last week, I spoke about, okay, I'm hoping, well, 2 weeks ago, as it was nearing, as it has rebounded from here, from this trend line. And again, this is a trend line that's been supported since 2016. I mean, this channel has been supported since 2016. I was waiting for it to bounce from this lower zone down here, right? The zone of rejection that we've had from before. I was hoping to catch it when it came back up above. Well, there it goes. It went without me. And when I go to the daily, I missed it by a couple of days. Bottom line, I missed it by a couple of days. It broke down below. I mean, it was bouncing off of it, then it broke down below. It bounced up above and retested. That was the entry right there. That was the entry September the 22nd right here. That would have been the entry right there. Okay. Since then, it has gone, let's see, what is that? Let's go check it. Okay, since then, 3 days, it has gone 400 and some pips to the upside. All right, that was another missed opportunity. And of course, it bounced off of the 50 on the daily now. So, and it got rejected there. Now it's creating a little morning star, evening star there. So it could be dropping. We'll see. But I keep trying to catch this GN and I've not been able to. Of course, I'm kind of leery of it because I'm so cozy now with GBP USD. It's like, okay, I got almost sure money on GBP USD. Why would I be risking it? It is forming that W, right, that you guys like to see. Drop, up, drop. So it may be going back up. But at this point, because of that 50 moving average on the daily, it would have to climb it for me to take it, all right? If it does climb to 50 on the daily, then to the upside, we're looking at another almost 350 pips to the next zone, all right? Just giving you a heads up on what may be happening on that. And then that was GN and gold. Gold is, gold has been an interesting study that has paid well to the downside on the last, what is this? This is the daily in the last week. Last week, we had it up here wedged, and ignore these lines down here. These lines are no longer relevant. They were relevant as price was coming up, as it played back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. There are other areas of support and resistance now that I need to form up here that will be relevant as price starts coming down. If it keeps coming down, we don't know. It could just go back up. It is still bullish, as you guys can see, right? I drew the golden zone from here to there. There's the golden zone. Obviously, it is still bullish. I believe it's at the 38.6 right now. All right, 38.6, which would mean shallow retracement. From here, it could jump right back up. It is a bullish pattern, I mean, bearish pattern that I see right here. So that's a bearish pattern right at this zone right here, right? This demand area. So we'll see how it reacts there. But here's my point. Last week, we had it just like this, okay? Trend line with the down move. It was somewhere in here, and it jagged right into the wedge, and then it broke, and no retest as far as the daily is concerned, which tends to happen with gold. Gold can go without a retest, and it broke through the trend line, broke through the 50, and it dropped. Okay, now again, we're looking at this right here. This is the current situation of gold right now, and it might have, we'll see if it finds support here. If it finds support here, we may be looking at a break of the highs. If it finds support here, we may be looking at the break of the highs. If it crashes through, or if it rebounds off this trend line to come down and then crashes through, then we should see it come all the way down to the golden zone. Those are a couple of scenarios for gold. All right, and that's the end of it. I hope that you guys are receiving value from what I'm putting out in the weekly recap, and if so, please let me know. If you want anything else added to it, let me know too. See if I can incorporate it. Okay. God bless you guys. Have a great weekend. See you tomorrow, London.